17-year-old guy and a senior in high school. Like most guys, I do a pretty good amount of gaming. Mainly, I play on my PlayStation 4 that I share with my 12-year-old brother who's in 6th grade. When the PlayStation 5 first came out, obviously my brother and I wanted to get one. But between them constantly selling out and the price being $500, we haven't been able to get one yet. One day I came home from school, and my brother got home about 20 minutes after me. We would both get home a little bit after 3 o'clock, and we would usually be home alone for about an hour or two until my parents got home from work. When my brother got back, he walked into his room and came out holding a handful of $20 bills. He then stood by the front door. I asked him where he was going and why he was taking so much cash. He told me he was buying a PlayStation 5. He said that he found a great deal online where a man was going to come over and sell him his PlayStation for only $100. He said the man was on his way and was coming inside. I immediately got a bad feeling, and I asked my brother to show me the ad online where he had found it. When he showed it to me, it looked extremely sketchy. I told my brother this was definitely a scam and we couldn't let this man in the house. I asked him to tell the man that he wasn't interested anymore, but my brother said it was too late because the man was already on his way. He texted him anyways and waited for the man to respond, but he never did. I went to every door and window in the house and made sure that it was locked. Only about 5 minutes later, my brother got a text from the man saying he was there. We carefully looked out the living room window and saw an old beat-up white van parked on the side of the street in front of our house. Then we saw a man get out of the driver's seat, but had no PlayStation in his hands. My brother texted the man that he changed his mind and no longer wanted to buy it from him. The man texted back very quickly that it was too late and he was going to sell it to him. Then he asked to be let into our house. My brother blocked the man's number and hoped he would give up and leave. But instead, the man walked up to our front doorstep and knocked on the door. He was a fairly tall man, but was wearing a hooded jacket as well as sunglasses, so we couldn't make out much details of his face. He knocked on and off for a good 5 minutes. Then he tried opening the door, which of course was locked. He knocked once again, this time harder. He alternated between knocking on the door and trying to open it for another few minutes before finally turning and walking back to his van. Then he got inside and drove away. Our parents got home about 30 minutes later, and we felt much safer after that. The man has never come back that I'm aware of, but knowing he has our address still scares me. Recently, with the new PS5 and Xbox Series X coming out, there's been a lot of hype around them. For me, as soon as I heard they were being released a long time ago, I did all that I could to make sure that I got one. I pre-ordered one online, and when the day came, I went to the store to go pick it up. I had ordered it online from a major retail store, and when I arrived, I walked over to the electronics department and picked it up. It was early in the day at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and the store was pretty quiet. I had gone early because I was excited to get it, and I wanted to use my new Xbox as soon as I could. Once I had the Xbox, I walked back and out of the store and headed towards my car. The parking lot was pretty empty, but I had still parked very far away, which was just a habit for me. As I began walking, I saw 2 men emerge from a car parked in a space about 20 feet away from me. They looked directly at me with unfriendly faces as I walked by. I would guess they were in their mid-20s, and they both had sloppy looks to them. I ignored them and kept walking. I expected them to walk into the store, but instead, they started walking behind me. This was when I first started to feel a little bit concerned, because I couldn't think of any reason they would want to go to the end of the parking lot where it was literally just my car parked there. I was still a ways away from my car at this point, and I started to walk slightly faster. I could sense them behind me, and they seemed to be getting closer and closer to me slowly. I knew that I had a very valuable item in my arms, and considered the possibility that they were planning on trying to steal it from me. When they got so close that I couldn't take it anymore, I turned my fast walk into a sprint and ran to my car. As I did, they started to run after me as well. It was a very scary feeling knowing that I was being chased. Thankfully, I already had my car keys in my hand, and I pushed unlock as I ran. I seemed to be slightly faster than the two men, and as soon as I reached my car, I opened the door and literally threw the Xbox into the passenger seat. Then I slammed my door shut and locked it, all with about 2 seconds to spare before the men reached my car. One tried opening my driver's door, and the other man ran to the passenger's door where the Xbox was and tried opening it. I put my car into reverse and backed out quickly. One of the men took a whack at my door as I did. I started to drive away and looked back at the men. The car they had originally come out of drove over to them and they got inside. Then the car started to follow me out of the parking lot. I went from feeling relieved to nervous once again. They followed me down the road for about a mile, but then out of nowhere they just turned off onto a random road and drove away. I was very happy to see that. I still drove home looking over my shoulders every 2 seconds, but I made it back safely. Recently, I saw an ad online from a small online electronics store saying that they would be selling the PS5 and offering pre-orders to people. The PlayStations were also discounted by $50 than what the normal cost was. It seemed a little too good to be true, but I figured it had to be legit when I saw the secure logo on top of the website. I took the risk and ordered the PlayStation 5 and then waited for it to arrive at my house. Several days later, it did, and when I opened it up, I was happy to see that it looked like a normal PS5, and I hooked it up and turned it on. At first, everything seemed fine and normal, but when I tried doing something on the system, it started glitching out. It would start making strange noises, and the screen started pixelating. Then random strange messages started showing up on the screen. None of it made any sense, and I was very confused. After this went on for about 20 minutes and I couldn't do anything, I figured that I had gotten scammed, and it made me pretty angry. Then, all of a sudden, I saw on my TV screen my room. I got closer and saw myself on the screen. I went to the PS5 and examined it. I saw that just behind the black part, there was a space and a small camera was attached to it. I immediately unplugged the PS5 and put it back in the box. I then went back to find the website where I had purchased the PlayStation, but it was completely gone and nowhere to be found. I searched for it and still couldn't find it. I took the PS5, if you could even call it that, and went to the police and reported the incident. I have yet to hear anything back, but the whole thing was very creepy. I have since bought a real PlayStation 5 that works just fine.